What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. We've got 3 topics to talk about today, and there are some juicy ones to get into. But the first one is not great, to be honest, and it's regarding Tottenham player Lucas Bergvall. So cast your mind back to the Chelsea game. Lucas Bergvall goes off after 5 minutes as a concussion sub. Didn't look great. He tried to stay on the pitch, got in a tiff with the medical team, ended up going off, and obviously has to follow the concussion protocols, which he has to be out for 12 games. So 12 days finished yesterday. That meant that Graham Potter did call him out for international duty. However, there's been a bit of a spanner in the works, and it doesn't sound good, to be honest. As this article says, Sweden manager Graham Potter had hoped that the player would be able to train with his international teammates on Thursday, despite being unable to head the ball. As per the Standard, however, he has now left the camp due to ongoing concerns over the concussion. In a statement, the Swedish national team, Graham Potter, said Bergvall will not be available to play for the men's national team for the next 2 matches due to consequences of the concussion he suffered in connection with Tottenham's league match against Chelsea on November the 1st. Swedish FA executive Stefan Peterson told Sportbladet, "We had agreed with Tottenham's doctor to do some tests during the week and then run at full speed so that if Lucas would feel it properly, when there was a reaction, there was no hesitation. We didn't want to take any risks." So now Bergvall has been replaced in the Swedish national team by Emil Kraft of Newcastle. And now it remains whether to be seen if he's going to be fit enough to face Arsenal against Emirates next weekend. So that is, for someone that wanted to get straight back on the pitch, it clearly shows that there was something very serious that was happening. And when you're dealing with head injuries and when you're dealing with the concussion, you cannot take any chances. So this is, really worrying news, to be honest, that, even after the 12 days protocols are over, which finished yesterday, he is still suffering the effects. And Sweden did not fit enough to play in either of the 2 games during this international break. So that means that he is a doubt for the North London derby next week. And that is really worrying news. So hopefully, he goes back to Tottenham and he makes a speedy recovery and he can be in the squad. But like I said before, with these things, you just cannot take any risk or any chance because these can be serious injuries. So I hope Lucas Bergvall rests up and is fit for the weekend. But it is what it is right now. Really, worrying news regarding Lucas Bergvall. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. However, Sky Sports are reporting about Antoine Semenyo, and they say that Tottenham, alongside Liverpool and Chelsea, are monitoring Antoine Semenyo ahead of a January transfer window. Spurs are looking at signing another forward in January, particularly one who can play on the left. I think it's no secret since the end of the last transfer window that Spurs do need someone to come in and fill on the left. Wilson Odobert is doing a great job so far. And it's an interesting one with Antoine Semenyo as well, because he did sign a contract in the summer amid interest from a few different clubs, Tottenham included. But the account India Kayla, whether you call them reliable or not, David Ornstein has endorsed them before. They say that Antoine Semenyo wants to leave Bournemouth in January, and he might even go as far to put in a transfer request at Bournemouth in January, which doesn't really sit right with me. So why would you sign a contract in the summer only for a few months later to put in a transfer request? Just doesn't make sense to me. However, with a brilliant start that he's had to the season, maybe he does have his sights set on maybe a Champions League team. Maybe he thinks he can play at a higher level. But if I was him, I'll probably, keep doing my thing at Bournemouth. I've got a really good thing going on there until the end of the season. And then in the summer, explore all your options. However, if he is looking to leave in January, I think Spurs should do as much as they can to bring him in. And like I said before, Odobert doing his stuff, doing really well, getting better and better. But he does need competition out on that left-hand side. And I think someone like Antoine Semenyo is also someone that Odobert can learn from. So I think having because you need two quality options in each position, in my opinion. And on the left, we don't have that. On the right, do we have that? On the right, we got Kudus, we got Brennan Johnson there as well. But I think we're looking stronger on the right than we are on the left. Obviously, Mikey Moore to come back in next season. We've got Matisse Tell, but he normally plays up front, doesn't play on the left. And with the whole striker situation we got going on at this moment in time, I think Tell's probably going to be more used up front to on the left. But I think he looks better on the left than he does up front. So on the left, we don't have that many options. We've got Javi Simmons who can play there, but no one really wants to see him there. They want to see him in the 10. So you're looking at Odebear. He's the only one that is only the left-sided player. And you've got to put Matisse Tell in there as well, I guess. But yeah, we need quality out of that left-hand side. And Antoine Semenyo would be an unbelievable option. But if we're also fighting the likes of Liverpool and Man City, that does put Tottenham bottom of the pecking order in terms of those teams. So look, it's going to take a monstrous offer to persuade Antoine Semenyo to come to Spurs. Can we persuade him that you'll get more of a starting role at Spurs than at Liverpool and at Man City? I can see us doing that to Man City. They got Jeremy Doku out there and he's performing really well this season. However, Semenyo has shown and proven probably he can get more consistent goals and assists to Jeremy Doku, as much as Jeremy Doku's playing very well this season. He only just scored his first goal of the campaign last weekend, a brilliant goal against Liverpool. On the other hand, you look at Liverpool, what do they have on the left? They're playing Gakpo there, more or less week in, week out. I know he didn't start in the last game, but with Gakpo, he does kind of get goal contributions, but I think Semenyo will be seen as an upgrade on Cody Gakpo. So, look, both those teams could probably do with Antoine Semenyo. So, do I think that Spurs can bring a Semenyo in January? Probably not. But you've got to do the best you can and you've got to try as much as you can to get someone of that quality in through the doors in January, because you're just looking at our forward options in general and we are just missing quality. This next one's interesting. A final point that we're going to talk about today, and it is around Matisse Tell, as Gilia Rossi, who are a Roma publication, claim that Matisse Tell's recent performances have caught the eye of AS Roma. It is explained that the Tottenham player is one of the options being considered for a January move by Gasparini's side, who are desperate for attacking signings in the winter window. Now, I don't know how I feel about this one, because I think Matisse Tell of late has been getting better. Obviously scored a great goal at Leeds, scored to get us back in the game at Manchester United with a very Jermaine Defoe-esque movement in the box. I feel like he is slowly getting better in a Spurs shirt. However, if we can bring in a bit of money for him and free up the space in the squad, I know he's not part of the European squad, but still frees up a space in the squad for someone like a Semenyo, for someone of really good caliber and really good quality, I might be open to it depending on how much they would be offering. But I think it would be a shame, because I do think Matisse Tell, there is something there, and I do think there is a player there, albeit we haven't seen on a consistent basis. But we do have to remind ourselves he is only 20 years of age. I do think it was probably a mistake to sign him in the summer, seeing as he has been left out of the Champions League squad, and maybe we could have used that money to get someone of maybe a more ready-made star that can come in right here, right now and do the business. So, yeah, I would be open to it. Depending who else we can get to replace him. Like, if it's a Semenyo, it's an absolute no-brainer if you can get a Semenyo over a Matisse Tell. But it all depends on what kind of caliber of player you can bring in to replace Matisse Tell. So I would be open to it to a certain point of view, but also it would also be a shame, because I do think like there is something there with Matisse Tell. There is a good player there, but I just feel it might take too long to see him get to those consistent levels that we want to see him get to. So, yeah, he's definitely one of the maybes in terms of if I'm going to talk about who I want to keep and who I want to sell. But, yeah, he's doing okay at this moment in time, Matisse Tell. So, look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Not great news on Lucas Bergvall as he gets sent home from Swedish national duty surrounding that concussion. Antoine Semenyo, Spurs are potentially chasing him in January alongside the likes of Liverpool and Man City, and Roma potentially interested in Matisse Tell over a January move. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you let Matisse Tell go in January if adequate replacements were brought in? Let us know in the comment section below, people. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.